In Japan, it is forbidden to pay for intimate company with night girls. The law is very clear. Since the 1950s, it's been a crime to do that there. Oh, so Japan must be a very pure country, without problems, right? Wrong. It's exactly the opposite. The Japanese are true geniuses at finding creative, innovative, and discreet ways to circumvent these rules. And it's no wonder they have one of the largest and most varied adult entertainment markets on the planet. Today, we're going to dive deep into this, starting with the famous bathhouses that offer a little something extra, which are places that seem like just a relaxing spa, but you wouldn't believe what happens here. We're also going to explore a bunch of other bizarre entertainments that, to the West, seem like something from another world. So get your coffee ready, because this video is going to be very curious, full of details. Soaplands first. Let me explain something that's behind this, which is essential for you to understand why this exists. In Japan, there is a law called Baishunboshi-ro, or the Law for the Prevention of Nighttime Activities. It's a 1956 law that specifically defines activities with women of the night. It becomes illegal to offer or pay for the act, with everything included in exchange for money with strangers. But look at the genius of the Japanese. This law is very narrow and confusing enough to leave huge loopholes. Anything that isn't exactly that, like massages, certain types of baths, slightly different conversations, all of this can happen without a problem. And the Japanese take full advantage of this loophole. They use this gray area masterfully, creating establishments that are 100% legal, but offer experiences that go well beyond the basics. And this is a massive market in the country. This type of entertainment in Japan moves tens of billions of dollars a year. And part of this happens because people want a way to escape social pressure, excessive work, and complicated lives. But what are these soaplands? These places are a perfect example of how Japan turns something forbidden into a legitimate industry. The name comes from soap and land, and it emerged in the 80s after a campaign to change the old name, which was very controversial. Unfortunately, I can't even mention it here, but they chose the name Soapland to give a cleaner and more modern image. The origins are precisely back in the 50s or 60s, post-war, when traditional baths, the onsen, were adapted to include some extra services. How do these places work in practice? I'll try to explain it here in an educational way. You enter, pay an entrance fee for the use of the bath facilities, like 20 or 50,000 yen, depending on the time, and receive a complete bath service with a tub, foam, and an attendant who does the entire personal cleaning process. What actually happens inside these places is technically an agreement between adults in a private place. The establishment sells nothing besides the bath, and everything else would be a personal decision. And it's precisely here that the gray area keeps this type of business running for so long and attracts all kinds of people you can imagine. But you, as a tourist, be very careful when you go to these places, because there are many scams. There are many famous scams in these red light districts. Obviously, this is not an encouragement for anyone, okay? But it's fascinating to see how all this reflects Japanese society. They work hard all day. They need some form of relaxation, entertainment, and then they find a way to do this without breaking the law and with a lot of privacy even. Personally, I find this pretty strange, to be honest. But it's also somewhat comical. Japan doesn't stop at just soul blends. It has an infinity of entertainments that seem to have come out of a dream or a Western nightmare, starting with Maid cafes. Maid cafes are themed cafes where the waitresses are dressed as maids. Very much in the anime style, you know? They wear an apron, a headband, long socks. It's a very cosplay-like look. And when you enter, they don't treat you like a normal customer. They treat you like a gochujin-sama, which means something like my lord, my master. You sit down, place your order, and the experience begins. They sing for you. They dance. Many of them draw little hearts or faces with ketchup on your plate. They treat you extremely well, even in a pretty strange way. Just between us, if you find this a bit strange, I don't blame you, okay? But what impresses me the most is that in these places, you won't just find girls or younger people otakus. You find many men, men in their 30s, 40s who enjoy this kind of place, who go drink and relax after work in these environments. These places emerged in the early 2000s. In Akihabara, which is a well-known neighborhood for people who like anime, tokusatsu. And the first one, if I'm not mistaken, was Maid Cafe in 2001. For many people in the West, the first reaction is that this is too childish. But then you need to understand the Japanese context. As I mentioned before, Japan is a country of very high social pressure. There are many absurd working hours, a culture that does not forgive failure. They have a really hard time connecting with other people. So the maid cafes, in practice, are a space for you to escape. A place where a stressed adult can feel special for an hour without any kind of judgment. There are infinite variations of these places. You have anime themes, maid cafes with twins, even futuristic ones. And the reason for all this to exist is precisely escapism. It's a kind of social therapy without too much physical contact, with very strict rules. So you can't just go around doing whatever you want. And it's very different from what we're used to here in Brazil. And speaking of people escaping reality in places like this, we're going to a completely different world now. Imagine a bar where you enter, sit down, and a very beautiful, well-dressed lady comes to sit by your side. She asks questions about your life, laughs at your jokes, fills your glass, praises how well-dressed you are, and makes you feel like the most important person in the world. This is a hostess says bar. The way this business works is very simple. You pay for the time. The drinks are quite expensive, usually included in a package, and what you're essentially buying is attention, conversation, companionship. Nothing more, nothing less. These girls here are trained to be excellent conversationalists, to quickly create a connection with you. There are many regular customers who develop a kind of relationship with their favorite girl, but this generally doesn't involve any physical contact, okay? It's just affection and conversation. Districts like Ginza, which is more upscale, or Kabukicho, which is much livelier and has far more people, have hundreds of these places. Many girls use stage names and even become celebrities in the area. It's very popular, especially among Japanese salarymen, who are those men who live in suits and work in traditional companies. They usually go to these places after work, and there is also the other side of this, which are the host clubs. If the host bars are geared towards men, the host club is the perfect opposite. They are very handsome, well-dressed young men with impeccable hair who cater to women, and sometimes men as well. And they do exactly the same thing. They talk, compliment, keep you company, fill your glass. The most famous ones end up becoming true celebrities in Japan. There are hosts out there with fans who travel across the entire country just to visit them. There are even rankings of the most popular ones, documentaries about this. Some of them became so famous that today they are entrepreneurs and have created their own cosmetic and clothing brands. It may seem absurd to us, but in Japan, this is viewed quite differently. It's also a kind of therapy. I find it quite absurd too, but what can you do? It's a space where someone who feels invisible in daily life can pay to be the center of someone's attention for a few hours. Now we've reached a part that I think will surprise you more, because up until now we've talked about things that generally have a more complicated connotation, but Japan goes far beyond that. They've created a series of places that exist to meet a very basic human need, which is connection. Starting here with the animal cafes. In Japanese, Dobutsu Cafe. The idea of these places is very simple. You pay to enter a cafe where you can interact with some animals while you have your coffee. And they have this in all kinds. The most famous is the Neko Cafe, which are cat cafes. You also have owl cafes, hedgehog cafes, fox cafes, goat cafes, penguin cafes. Yes, there are penguin cafes. And these places have skyrocketed in popularity because many Japanese people live in tiny apartments where they can't have pets. So, cat cafes, for instance, have become the only way for them to have a moment of affection with an animal without leaving where they live or violating their lease agreement. And it's so crazy that there are even cuddle cafes, called soineya in Japanese, which are like places to sleep together. You pay by the hour, Choose a package that ranges from simply lying with someone to getting a head massage or a hug, and that's it. There's no forced conversation, no friendship. It's just about people wanting someone's company. In fact, I think some of you might need that, huh? So, generally, this type of business ends up reflecting the same thing. They are lonely people. When you put it all together, from the first ones I mentioned to the last ones, you see this pattern. Japan didn't invent these places because it's a society without morals or problematic, but they invented this because they are mainly one of the most stressed, loneliest, and most complicated societies in the world. A society where people work too much, sleep too little, and have less and less space for real human connection. And the market responds to that. It always responds. You might find it bizarre, and I do too, sometimes. But it's impossible not to respect the innovation behind it. Anyway, what did you find most surprising here? Let me know in the comments.